Hi, I'm Alan, and I also make music under the name Alien Signal. I've streamed a lot on Earth Modular Society, and recently it was their 3rd anniversary. I'll link to it just here. I wanted to talk a little bit about how I did that performance, and especially I want to focus on my setup I have with my DROID system. The DROID system is the controller system I use to sequence and generally control everything in my performance on my Eurorack synthesizer. So before we head into looking at my actual controller setup and how I use it, let's just have a little sample of the performance itself. Now let's take a look at my controllers and see what I'm actually doing there. So this is a nifty keys, both a keyboard and a modular rack. And here I'm using the lowest octave to change the root note. But actually, since it's polyphonic, I can also hold down an additional key and change the scale itself. So in my performance I used 2 voices playing the same melody. I could then add variations to each of them and make interesting new melodies and harmonies appear. I can create variations in the rhythm of the voice. can add or remove beats to make the beat more active or less active. I can also slowly transform the melody itself, slowly introducing random variations, and once I'm happy with what I've got, I can just let it be like that. So now we have voice 1 playing the original melody, but voice 2 has been altered. And it's been altered by the slowly morphing that we introduced earlier. So it's now playing a different melody, but it's a similar melody. It has elements of the first melody and it's playing in a nice harmony together with the first voice. And with a bit of rhythmic variation, they sort of complement each other and play up to each other. It sounds really nice. Now, some things are easily sequenced, some things happen better organically when I'm performing. And here, for example, I have this cutoff of the filter on the chords, and I have a knob that controls that directly on the DROID system. The movement of that knob is then recorded into a buffer of 4 bars, which I can set to loop. In fact, I can do that with my chords as well. I can just change my chords as I showed earlier, and the last 4 bars are just continuously stored in a buffer. So when I think something sounds nice, I can just let it loop. So having run out of keys on my Nifty keys, I wanted to still be able to change the bass note. So I have this grid keyboard on the DROID. It's chromatic. And I can loop it. If I stop the loop, I can change the bass note and change the root note, and as soon as I change the root note, the bass note will go back to the first in the scale. If I enter a sequence again and loop it, I can then change the root note and the sequence will be transposed to the new scale. Alright, it's time to talk about beats. I have 4 beats: bass drum, snare, hi-hats, and a weird analog percussive thing that sounds like toms sometimes. I can switch between them on these red buttons, and the bottom right quarter of my white buttons show the pattern I've programmed. This knob sets the activity just like before, adding or removing beats to all of the drums at the same time. I can also do that individually with the small knobs here on the left side. I can add fills for most of the drums at the end of certain bars when it's musically interesting. On the snare I can add ratchets instead of fills. This fader is connected to the snare drum modulation. And finally I have a low pass filter on all the drums. And I can use that to make cool transitions. Let's end the walkthrough with some nice sounding arpeggios. Produced by the Rings module from Mutable Instruments. It's one of my favorite modules and it really sounds great. I can select which notes it plays in the arpeggio, and I can add a 7th that changes with the scale, for example. So, if you've made it all this way, you've watched the whole video, congratulations. It's probably way too long, but there you go, it's my first video of this kind of sort. I've usually just uploaded my performances, but I wanted to do a proper speaking video. So if you liked it, well, why don't you just leave a comment or a like on the video, anything. I really appreciate it. I have a lot more to talk about. I've only talked about my DROID setup in this video, but I have the whole patch behind me. And you know, it's possible for me to make a video about that as well. So again, thank you for watching my video.